Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Katie Halper Show. So excited about today's episode. We are bringing on a guest who I've been wanting to have on for such a long time, and I know people are really excited about having him on for good reason. He's an excellent speaker, excellent thinker, and he is, I'll just give a short bio. He's the host of Economic Update. He's professor of economics emeritus at UMass Amherst. He's a visiting professor at the New School. He's the founder of Democracy at Work and the author of several books, including Democracy at Work, Understanding Marxism and Capitalism Hits the Fan, The Global Economic Meltdown, and What to Do About It. He's been called America's most prominent Marxist economist by the New York Times. So without any further ado, bringing on to the stage, the virtual stage, Professor Richard Wolff. Hello.
Hi, Katie.
Thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. I'm really glad to be here.
Yes, and just quickly want to remind everyone to please remember, as Brad reminds us, to hit the like button, share, and subscribe. And of course, you can become Patreon supporters at patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show, and we'll be providing you with extra content there, including, if you're not watching this live, the full chat with Professor Wolff. So let's see. Welcome to the show. You are so busy, so we really especially appreciate your stopping by. I wanted to ask you, to start off, I want to ask you about something that we hear about a lot, which is inflation. It's in the media a lot. There was this somewhat famous segment on CNN where a family found out that they couldn't afford to buy like 20 gallons of milk. It's presented often by the media as a reason for why we can't have nice things, basically. So there's so much inflation, which is why we can't provide relief. There's so much inflation. That's why Build Back Better can't happen. Can you tell us about what inflation means and what the media is missing about inflation and what the politicians are missing when they talk about inflation?
I can try, and I'm glad you asked the question. It's embarrassing, being an economics professor all my life, that the understanding of what is so basic, like an inflation, is as underdeveloped. I'm being as polite as I know how, as underdeveloped in our media, among our politicians, and therefore, not surprisingly, among the general public. So that you can get away with saying some of the rankest nonsense imaginable because it is one of those areas wrapped in some sort of mystery tape that no one seems able to unravel. So bear with me for a couple of minutes if I just try to basically explain what it is and where it comes from and the damage that it does. Okay, so inflation simply means a general increase in the prices of goods and services. That's all it means. The prices can be going up in some cases and being flat or even going down in others. It's just a question of whether, in general, most items are becoming a bit more expensive or a lot more expensive than they used to be. So don't forget that, because that's the basic story of what an inflation is. But now we get to the mystery part. Who decides to raise prices? Because obviously, if an inflation is rising prices, a reasonable next question is, well, who made the decision that the quart of milk is going to cost $3.20 instead of $3 or whatever it is we're talking about? And here comes right away an answer that creates tension in our culture. It's the employers who make that decision. If you've been an employee anywhere, you may well have noticed that among your duties is never the setting of prices. Employers don't let you do that. They hold that responsibility, that privilege, that power for themselves. Okay, so how many employers are there as a percentage of the population? Maybe 1%, certainly not more. It's a tiny minority. So the first thing to understand about an inflation, it is something done by a tiny minority that the majority is stuck with. If you were a believer in democracy, you would already be having trouble at this point. How do we allow all of us to be impacted by something we have no direct control? Because the employer doesn't have to answer to anyone. The employer, by the way, if you go to business school and you get an MBA at some reputable or not a business school, you will be taught that the price is determined by what the employer thinks the market will bear. In general terms, you rate the price as high as you think you can get away with. Will people still buy whatever I make as a business if I have the price at X? If not, then I'll bring it down to Y. And there's a bit of trial and error that's often involved. So the second thing about inflation is that it's something employers do. Now, the third question, very logical. Why do employers do it? All right. We know what it is. We know who's doing it. Next question, why are they doing it? And here we get wonderful mystery, which I can help you unravel. The mystery, which is no mystery at all, is that employers set prices for the exact same reason they do everything else. They're in business to make money. That's what they'll tell you. Profit is our bottom line. Making more money is why I'm in this business. So when they set prices, that's what they're doing. That is one of the important decisions that will shape how profitable your business is. So the answer to why we have an inflation, the honest answer, is because employers seek to profit from doing that. And that's why they do it. But the problem in America is because we give lip service to democracy, if people understood what I just said, they would rebel. They would be angry that a tiny minority for its profit is telling all of us that we'll get fewer loaves of bread or fewer days of the month rent because they're raising the price. So they need to tell a story. And the story is simply blame somebody else. Blame anybody else. So here are some of the favorite candidates. Here we go. Number one, big one in America. It's the Federal Reserve System. They've been pumping money into the economy, which is true, for the last 20 years. That's true. And all this extra money is sort of driving up the prices. This lovely story allows you to get the employer right out of the story, right out of the picture. He's gone. You've blamed somebody else. The only problem with this story is it's patent nonsense. The Federal Reserve has been increasing the money supply literally every year for the last 20 years, and we haven't had any inflation for 19 of those 20 years. So whatever made the inflation start now, it can't possibly have to do with blaming the Fed, because that just doesn't compute, even if you know the least bit about American economic history.
Well, yeah, and where can people find you? I mean, you're prolific, but in case you want the Katie Halper Show bump, which you don't need at all because you count. I don't remember how many followers you have on YouTube, but it's something stunning, which is also a really good sign, I think, for how important.
Yeah, we're amazed. We're amazed.
Yeah.
We have our YouTube subscribers are about 270,000 at this point, and they keep growing. We can't quite understand it. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. We are overjoyed.
Of course, right.
But if you want to find out what we do, and we do a lot, we publish books now, we produce videos literally every day. We do the weekly radio and TV show, Economic Update. We have half a dozen podcasts that we host. All of that is easily, you can find it at our website. And that's very simple, Democracy at Work, all one word, democracyatwork.info, INFO, and everything we do is accessible there, costs nothing. And if you partner with us and make use of what we do and share it around, that's why we do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And that's the website, of course, democracyatwork.info. And we barely talked about that. We did a little bit with the 3 types of socialism, but we'd love to have you back to talk more about what democracy at work looks like and means. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. And get in touch. And I look forward to doing it with you again in the future.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a good
Bye-bye.
night. Good
You
night.
too.
And guys, thank you so much for joining. Amazing. It was such an amazing chat. It was so great to have him. Make sure that you like the stream, share the stream, subscribe to this channel, youtube.com/The Katie Halper Show. You hit subscribe and then you hit the bell. Also, please become Patreon supporters, patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show. Again, that's patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show. If you're not watching this live and you want to see the full chat with Professor Wolff, which I really recommend, of course, then you can go to patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show and you'll see the full chat. Thank you so much to Brad. Thank you, Tyler. Thanks for everyone for coming by, for stopping by. We're now streaming Sundays and Tuesdays at 7 p.m. So we will see you on Sunday. And have a great night. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you soon. Bye.